Hey, my beautiful friends. I hope y'all are doing well and stuff. I know I've kind of been on a roll with making videos tonight because I've been kind of feeling up to filming. We are joined here by my little Triceratops guy that rattles and stuff. I washed him and stuff, and he's nice and good now. He's no longer having like spots that are kind of weird on him and stuff, and he feels perfect now. So I've been cuddling with him. I just had to get like a wet washcloth and just kind of clean him up a little bit, and he's all good to go now. So he's joining us for today for our little chat. I just wanted to kind of just come on here and talk a little bit about like what unmasking has been like for me, because that's been something that I've been wanting to do a video on, and I figured now is the best time for it, right? So you all know that I have had quite a lot of struggles surrounding masking and surrounding feeling like the person that I am is not good enough, and always like I would just like play along just to please people a lot of the time. I was what some would call a chronic people pleaser when I was growing up. In high school, I did anything to please those around me, even if that meant that I was harmed, like I was uncomfortable. So I went through a period of time where I actually gave up pretty much all of my stuffies, because I felt like that's what I had to do. I didn't feel like I could be myself and that it was okay to be myself, if that makes sense. And stuff. And there's stuffies that I gave up that I now wish I hadn't given up because I missed some of them. Like I had a Zaboomafoo stuffy. And I wish I hadn't given him up, but I did. I gave him up. I had a Clifford the Big Red Dog stuffy that I really, really that I really, really loved. I gave him up as well. Now, I have since replaced the Clifford the Big Red Dog stuffy. One of my awesome friends who I absolutely love, and I hope that she knows how much I love her. Deborah, I hope you know how much I love you, and I love you, and I appreciate everything, and thank you for replacing my Clifford the Big Red Dog stuffy. That literally made my entire day when you got me that. I love you so much, and I hope you know that I'm here for you no matter what. So, anyway, yeah, I just gave away a lot of my stuffies, and for a while, I tried to be normal. I tried to fit in. I tried to be what society expected me to be, because that's what I was told I had to be. And this was before I was even diagnosed with autism, before I knew I was neurodivergent in any way and stuff. This was even before I was diagnosed with mental health things like anxiety and depression and all of that. I masked a lot, and I was always uncomfortable, and I was always like anxious and everything. But I tried to be what everybody said I had to be. And that wasn't easy for me to do because I just struggled a lot. And because I struggled a lot, I went into a very deep depression. When I started college, I was in a very, very bad place. There was no hiding that I was depressed. There was no hiding that I was really, really struggling. I was struggling with SH, or otherwise known as SIB. If you know what that is, then you know what that is. I'm not gonna explicitly explain it on here. But yeah, I struggled a lot with that. And I also struggled with having an eating disorder at the time. There was just a lot going on. And then a couple of years after I started college, I moved to a new state. Because of my parents' job, we ended up moving, and that was very hard on me because I just kind of fell into a place of never really feeling good enough, per se. And I kind of became very quickly isolated from people. But being away from that kind of environment, moving away to a new state, meant that I kind of was, in a sense, given the chance to kind of start over. And so I learned who I was. I started collecting stuffies again. I started collecting fidgets. I started doing all of that. And by this point, I kind of, it was a couple years after we had moved, I think, that I actually was diagnosed with autism. And the diagnosis actually changed a lot for me. It helped me to understand myself. It helped me to kind of realize that being who I was, there was never an issue with who I was, and that the way that I was never an issue. It was really other people's perception, and that if other people didn't like who I was, then that's on them, not on me. And I started the very long process of trying to unmask and trying to become something that was more in line with my true identity, which is kind of the person you guys, which is pretty much the person you guys see now. But it took me a very, very long time to get to a point of being comfortable with that. It took me a long time to go from masking and feeling like who I was never good enough to where I am now, where I ended up actually, like, accepting that and accepting that I was different, because from a very young age, I always felt different. I always felt like I didn't belong. I always felt like there was something about me was not the same as everybody else. I felt like the way my brain worked was different than those around me. I don't know if a part of that is just because I don't know. I don't know if it was just the autism part of it, or if there was, because I had the other issues, like my vision issues and stuff like that. I don't know if that was part of it. I don't know if it was the fact that I was learning English, and because I had a foreign accent at the time when I was learning English. I had a foreign accent at the time, and so I don't know if that played into it. There were some multiple factors, but I know the undiagnosed autism definitely played a big role. I always, for the longest time, I slept with a stuffy pretty much every night, pretty much my entire life. I've always had attachments to specific things. It's true to this day. You guys have seen my sleeping arrangement, I think, multiple times. I get attached to very specific things, and not all of it is things like stuffies. Like, I have pillowcases that I am attached to. I have a blanket that I've had since I was 5 years old that I still sleep with. I have a shirt, an actual shirt from my mom. And this is something that goes back all the way to my childhood, where I had a shirt from my mom that I sleep with. And I had the same thing as a kid. I remember having a shirt that my mom that smelled like comfort. It was a smell that comforted me. And the shirt that I used to have, it's a different shirt now than it used to be, but the shirt that I used to have was this white shirt with small blue polka dots. And I remember sleeping with that shirt all the way until high school. Until my dad took it away from me because he didn't understand why I needed it. And I remember having a complete meltdown when that happened. It was kind of torn. It was worn. Obviously, I was sleeping with it every night. My mom had worn it. Obviously she wore it before she washed it before she gave it to me. But it was just one of those things that, like, I was devastated to lose it. And I went a long time without having that same kind of thing. It's only been within the last couple years, I think, my mom has I missed that comfort, and we only recently found another shirt of hers that was similar, and that brings me that comfort during panic attacks and at night when I wake up in a panic because of nightmares, because I still have nightmares from having PTSD, and I still have a lot of intrusive thoughts, and having that is kind of like a grounding thing. It's the same thing that things like stuffies do to me, or like my big weighted blanket. It's why I bring stuffies whenever I go anywhere with me. It's a grounding thing for me. And I did go through a period of time where I didn't always carry these kind of stuffies out and about with me. There were periods in my life where, like, I would carry a small thing in my pocket, or I'd carry like little things like this size that I could easily just fit in a pocket, or I'd carry them in like a bag in my purse or something, and where nobody could see them, because I had built a lot of shame around having comfort items for the longest time. I was always made to kind of, not necessarily by family members so much, but by a lot of other people around me. I was constantly made to feel like who I wasn't ever right, in a sense. And if anybody has ever had that feeling, it is such a very, like, lonely and isolating feeling to feel like you just don't fit in anywhere. You tried to make friends, and you make an attempt to make those friends, but nobody, like, reciprocates. You know what I mean? Like, I went through a lot of periods where I would initiate a friendship, or I'd try, like I'd send like a text message, or I'd say, hey, let's talk, and the person would never get back to me. Or we'd start talking, I thought things were going great, and then they'd ghost me, or they'd leave, or I'd suddenly start showing my real self, and suddenly I was not what they wanted me to be. And yeah. And obviously, I know that not every single person you meet is somebody that you're going to become close with, or that you're going to be friends with for forever and ever. That's just, I understand that. But it's like, having that happen repeatedly, having repeatedly gone through finding a group, thinking the group was a group that accepted me, becoming comfortable with the group, opening up, and then suddenly being excluded, or suddenly being ignored in the group, or not being talked to anymore, or just all of those things. It very much creates a sense of feeling like a misfit. And to this day, I still kind of feel that way. I haven't quite found a group that I feel 100% comfortable in. I have people around me who accept me, and who 100% accept me, but I don't have like a group of people like within my area, within where I live, that I can feel comfortable totally being open and being myself with. Like, when we go to our friends, I don't carry stuff like this around as much. Like, I do have them with me, but they're in my bag. I carry a backpack, and they stay in my bag until we leave. Or I have a fidget, but it stays in my pocket. I don't really bring it out. Little things like that I'm not 100% comfortable around people even now. And when I say our friends, I mean my hubby and I both know these people, and we are like, it's like a mutual friend. But more so than anything, I view a lot of the people that I hang out with as being more my husband's friends than mine, because he's the one who met them first. He's the one who knows them. He's the one who has built that relationship with them. I kind of came in because I'm married to him, and obviously they've accepted me in the group, and they've like included me and stuff, and I feel like to a certain extent they like me, but I don't necessarily always feel 100% comfortable being myself around them, even though these specific friends have been to our house. They have seen my bedroom. They have seen what my life is like, and I don't know why I still feel kind of like I can't fully be open around them 100%. It's weird. It is very, very weird, but I feel like I'm still in that process of like unmasking. I'm perfectly comfortable bringing a stuffy out to like the store. When hubby and I go out to a store, or like even when we go to our D&D group on Sundays, I will bring a stuffy. And I don't have any issues with it. However, there's just certain situations where I feel like I can't be 100% myself. And that is something that I still struggle with. And it still kind of upsets me, because I want to be able to just be myself and not feel like I have to put on this face, this brave face, for somebody else, or make other people feel comfortable, because my whole life I've kind of been taught that my job is to make other people feel comfortable, because who I was and who I have been my entire life was always being made to seem like I was too much, or I was not what people wanted to see. So that's just something I've always struggled with, is being open and being comfortable in situations. And it's something I'm definitely still working through, and everything, but I'm lucky that I have people who do encourage me, and I'm not saying that everything about my life is bad, because that is not true, not even by a little bit. My whole life is not this horrible thing. I have a lot of wonderful people who 100% support me and love me, and who just want me to be happy. However, I have kind of inadvertently put myself in this box of like, I need to be this way or I'm not good enough. And unmasking and learning how to unmask has been a challenge that I still am working with every day. That I still try every day to do, even if it's hard, even if it hurts me, even if it feels like it's the end of the world. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll be right back. I am going to go check something real quick, and then I will continue talking with you guys. So, give me just a minute. All right, where were we? Comfort items, unmasking. All right, so sorry guys, I had to find something real quick. It was driving me nuts. But yeah. So, as I was saying, it took me a very long time to be able to unmask to the point where I'm comfortable with this stuff. I'm comfortable with the fact that I like my stuffies. I like having comfort items with me. I like all of that stuff. And you know what? There is absolutely no shame in that. There is no shame in struggling with mental health. There is no shame with that. It is part of being a human being, and it is part of the process. And unmasking takes time. And I tell myself every day when I start to beat myself up because, oh my goodness, I masked today. I tell myself, well, you masked today, but that's because that's your default. Your default is to mask because, especially those of us who are late diagnosed autistic, we have spent most of our lives probably masking, right? We spend probably most of our lives being something we aren't. Having to put on the show, kind of. Having to act, having to act to make others comfortable. And let's be honest, acting to make others comfortable does get to be exhausting after a while. We all get to a point where we cannot mask anymore. And that's what leads to meltdowns. That's what leads to us kind of being very, very dysregulated. Because when you are masking all day, whether you are an adult, whether you are a child, whether you are a teenager, whether you are, no matter who you are, if you are spending your entire time masking, you are going to be burnt out. You are going to have hard times. It is just a given when you are masking. And one of the things that I've been trying to do is I've been trying to be nicer to myself and allow myself to unmask. Even if it makes me feel scared, even if it gives me the jeepers creepers, whatever you want to call it. I have been allowing myself to unmask, which is why even on this channel, you guys have seen a more authentic version of myself lately. Because I am no longer allowing myself to mask in situations just because there are people who have something negative to say. If you are criticizing somebody with a neurodivergence or with any kind of issues for anything, even if it's just as simple as using a stuffy, if you are criticizing for someone for using a stuffy, for using a comfort item, I'm sorry, but that's on you. You should not be criticizing someone for something that you don't understand. And if it helps that person, and if it makes that person feel comfortable, and if it benefits that person, why does it matter what their age is? What does it matter why they're doing it? It should not matter. Me carrying around a stuffy should not be the determining factor to my maturity level, to my ability to be an adult. I'm sorry, but it's complete nonsense to say that someone carrying around a stuffy makes them unable to be an adult, makes them unable to be mature. And I have found that a lot of people tend to talk to you and treat you differently when they see things about you that they don't understand. And I am not incapable of having an adult conversation. I am not incapable of paying my own bills. I am not incapable of making the tough decisions when I need to. I have had to do that many times throughout my life. And honestly, having things like this has just helped and been an aid in my abilities to do such things. And apologies for me itching my nose a lot. I don't know why my nose is so itchy right now. But it does not hinder my ability to be an adult. Just as much as watching cartoons does not hinder my ability to be an adult. Just as much as sleeping with a stuffy doesn't hinder my ability to be an adult. We all have our things. And our world is already hecking stressful enough as it is. Let's not shame each other for our differences. Instead of shaming someone and making someone feel like they have to mask, like they have to be something they're not, why don't we just learn to accept people and meet people where they're at and see people for who they really are and see something like a stuffed animal? Instead of seeing it as a sign of immaturity, seeing it as a tool. Maybe that person has really bad social anxiety and they need a stuffy to help them regulate. Why is it seen as such a bad thing to have a stuffy? What about having a stuffy is so bad to people? That's the thing I don't understand, is people seem to, or having a doll. Like, I've seen the amount of crap that people get, especially in places like in the reborn community, for doing role play with those dolls and for saying, it's just a doll, this is wrong, this is blah, blah, blah. Why is it wrong? The person is doing what makes them happy. They're not affecting you, are they? Are they making your life difficult? So then why do we feel this need to go around and comment and make people feel bad? I have seen far too many things recently of people acting because of bullying and doing things because they've been bullied, because they've been harassed, because they've been made to feel like crap for being who they are. And I'm sorry, but if you are the kind of person who is just making those comments just to be mean to somebody, what hurt you so bad? What in your life has made you feel that it's okay to do that to other people? Why do we treat other people who are different, who use stuffies, who are struggling, whether that's they're struggling with mental health, whether that's they're struggling with their weight, whether that's they're struggling with whatever, why do we feel the need to comment? Why do we feel the need to comment on people's body and how they look? It's none of your business. Each of us has a different body shape, a different body size, a different history, we are differently constructed. Why are we so focused on judging people? For what? What is it gaining to judge? What is it getting to